Okay, we're recording. Okay, let's do this. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the House of the Mediocre Black Woman. So, as y'all know, a few days ago, I created a new spread called Threat to the Script. And today, I decided to pull some of cards for myself because when I originally did the Threat to the Script spread, I did it for us as a collective, right, a few days ago. Um, but I wanted to do one for myself, and I wasn't planning to record this message, but the message that came through was so aligned and so necessary that I felt like I wanted to share it with anybody who's been trying to build something from their gifts. Like if you're a creative, a healer, an intuitive, an entrepreneur, or someone who knows you're meant for more but keeps getting caught between purpose and practicality, then this is probably for you too, right? So I'm going to walk you through the exact cards that I pulled for myself and the message as it came forward around creativity, around money, around calling, and the beliefs that keep us small. So let's get into it. So, with the script, right? It's about the first position of this spread is about what expectations, narratives, or roles or identities no longer are aligned to you. So, this is like something that you might still be perpetuating, right? So, the first card I pulled here was the Ace of Wands. And immediately, what I heard is that I'm still carrying the belief that creativity can't sustain me, that my passion is extra, not foundational, right? And so a lot of us grew up with that conditioning. We were told, pick a stable major, pick a serious job, be practical. And a lot of us did that. And a lot of us are in a position right now where we're like, dang, wish we would have bet more on ourselves and not so much so on what's practical or what everybody else thinks is, sustainable, right? Because a lot of us are being shaken up as we speak about, what it is that we thought we were going to make our livelihoods from and how we were going to support ourselves, not just monetarily, but like what nourishes us spiritually too and, creatively. So the Ace of Wands is saying, your spark is the path, your creativity is the currency. Your ideas are not side pieces, they're the main offering, right? Yeah, I got a lot of conditioning around that. And what's so interesting is that the crown chakra is on this card, and I feel like why that's interesting to me, and this is why I like kind of doing them again, because I feel like other stuff comes to me that I didn't really sit with the first time. But you know, to me, you're in your head around your creativity, right? You're in your head around your passions. You're in your head. You're not in here, right? And the Ace of Wands is calling us to be enthusiastic about it, be fearless, be um, be creative, and be fearless, be passionate, right? And this is your vitality, right? This is your life force. This is what's going to really get you to the next place that you need to be. And I think that some of us are fighting it because we're in our heads here, right? There's the crown chakra is on there too. Um, okay, so the next card and the next position is called the disruption, right? So the disruption is about what about you specifically threatens the scripts and the old narratives. And the card that came up is the judgment card, right? So this is your calling, your spiritual pull, your clarity, the part of you that refuses to live from obligation. So, people who live from obligation often feel threatened by people who live from purpose. And so, my calling disrupts the script because it doesn't make sense to people who are still obeying the old rules, right? Wait a minute, what do you mean you can like follow God, follow spirit, like plug into your spiritual team and, be self sustainable? What do you mean you can do that? What do you mean your creative project is what's, is what's guiding you here? Like, what do you mean, And what I love about this card is that you see, like, they're all looking up towards the sky, and you see that they're playing music down, right? And so it's like following the music of what spirit is calling you to do, following the music of your heart and your inner knowing, right? And you got to get out of your head. Crown chakra is here again, so I feel like it's again saying you got to get out of your head about what the old rules are, right? So that's how you disrupt the script, right? Your calling is not your calling is not what everybody else is doing. It doesn't necessarily look like what everybody else, the way that it looks like for them, you know? Um, and I know people are like, well, so and so does that too, and so does that too. Yes, but what is your unique spin on it? I think we get so caught up in that sometimes. Like, it doesn't have to look like the way that everybody else does it. There are some solid blueprints, some solid foundations, but like, what does it look like for you? What's your unique spin on it? Yes, I'm an intuitive guide and healer, but I do it from the place of Chiron because of my placement with Chiron. I'm the wounded healer in the sense that I help people where their creativity has been, diminished, where they have this tension of wanting to be seen, but also simultaneously wanting to hide, right? Like that is my core wounding, and I help people through that. So, yeah, somebody else might have an intuitive business or, might be a healer, but they don't do it with the same elements that I do it with, right? So, it's all about how you look at it. Are you still obeying old rules? And even with your new creativity, your newfound passion, whatever it is that you're working on, are you now trying to then okay. So it's like, when you're in the conventional path of corporate, you're trying to follow, the path that everybody else takes. But now that you're in your own lane, you're also like, I'm hearing, looking at what other people are doing, and that's getting you caught up, you know? So do it like you, right? That's your disruption. That's, like, cause this path ain't for everybody. That's your disruption, right? And then the next thing is the next position, the truth that's coming up, right? So, what truths of yours want to be spoken, want to be owned, right? And we got none other than it's coming out faster than I could say it. We got none other than the King of Swords. We gonna get there, okay? It might take a while, but we gonna get there. So we got no. Dang, what is going on? No one other than the King of Swords here, right? And when I asked what truth wants to be acknowledged right now, the King of Swords to me said, you're not confused. You're just afraid to admit what you know. Like, we know what we're meant to do. We know the kind of work we want to create. We know our gifts are real, right? The King of Swords is asking us to name it without shrieking it to make people more comfortable, right? And sometimes it's not others that are shrinking us, it's us doing it to ourselves, right? So you really gotta, you know, cut through the BS, right? You know what you're here for. This card has the third eye chakra on it. Like, you know what's going on, right? Like, you're open, you're clear, you know. So why are you fighting it? You know? Like, what? It's okay. It's because we're scared sometimes. I know. I know. It's because we're scared. We're worried about how people will perceive us. We're worried, what if it fails? What if it doesn't succeed? But what if it does? But what if it does? Just saying. Card number 4, the fourth position is the resistance, right? The resistance. Where have you been shrinking or silencing or shapeshifting? And this one was the moon. And, it's interesting because I did another spread a few days after I had done this one. And one of my like cosmic signatures is the moon. So what I was really hearing here is for me, the resistance isn't skill or ability. It's fear, it's old narratives, it's that voice that says, is creativity enough? Is intuition enough, right? It's just conditioning, it's not truth, right? And so the moon is about intuition, but also it has Neptune on here, and Neptune can be a planet of illusions, right? And so it's like, okay, what illusions around the way that I self sustain or the way that I create or the way that I live my life need to fall away, you know? What illusions belong more to somebody else than they do to me, right? What needs to fall away? So there's that. Okay. And that's what the moon is about. So, again, the rest of the world, a lot of times, often lives from what they can see right in front of them, what actions they can will into existence. But the moon asks us to trust our intuition. So, in this process of dropping the scripts around how you believe you can earn and how you believe that you can, serve and still fulfill your passions and still sustain, they need to fall away, right? Otherwise, if I don't believe it, I can't receive it, right? Okay. And then the rewrite. So the rewrite is about who you are when you decide to choose yourself, regardless of what's going on, right? And of course, the Page of Cups came up, which I love because the Page of Cups, when we choose ourselves first, this is the version of us that's curious, that's hopeful, imaginative, open. When I stop doubting my gifts, my creativity comes back online in a real way, right? This is the version of me that actually creates what people respond to, not the version that's stressed and overthinking. And, this is the version that's fun, that's fresh, that's idealistic, that sees opportunities. And it has on this card, it has creative opportunities, right? Also, the root chakra is on here. So this is the like part of me that's grounded, right? When I am, being who I am and choosing myself anyway, right? So that's what the Page of Cups calls us into. And then the final card here is the blessing. And I love this so much because, okay, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. So let me explain the blessing. The blessing is what opens up when you walk your own path, right? So what I love that came up in this spread was the Devil card. And I'm a Capricorn sun, and the Capricorn's major arcana card is the Devil. And so I was like, ooh, okay. And so the blessing that comes up when I walk my own path showed up as the Devil, right? And so in this context, this isn't limitation, this is liberation. So the Devil card, you'll notice here, you probably can't see it as good, but if you look up the card yourself, you'll see uh, the folks in this card, they have chains around their necks, and then they're chained to a block that the devil is sitting on top of, right? But what's so cool about this card is that the chains are loose enough for us to take them off of ourselves, right? They don't need the devil to take them off. They don't need the other person to take them off. They can take them off themselves. It's beautiful, right? So this is the liberation. This is breaking the old chains, right? Breaking the scarcity, breaking the beliefs that say security can only come one way. Like, I'm chained to this thing because this is a way that makes me my income. This is the way I've been taught that it looks to self-sustain. Also, it has to be hard. And that's the thing I'm also trying to like get us to break through this spread too, is like it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to, you got to be disciplined. Yeah, you got to be consistent, but hard when you're in your gifts, it feels like flow. Like a friend and I were talking the other day and we're like, we're exhausted because we've been creating like crazy, but we don't feel like it's hard. We feel like we're in flow because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we feel like we're being disciplined, we're being consistent, right? But hard, when you're in your gifts, hard is relative, what's a small thing to a giant? Like that should be the energy. um okay, let me slow down because I didn't went somewhere else in my head now. But yeah, this is about breaking the beliefs, right? This is about no longer being trapped, no longer being in bondage, right? It's about like turning off the narratives of powerlessness. Ooh. Okay. This is about turning off the powers, the narrative of powerlessness. Wow. Wow. And Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn's also on this card, and Saturn has the rings around it. And so it's restrictions. And sometimes it can feel restricting. And so it's a reminder that I can build something real and sustainable from my gifts because I'm wired to. However, we got to get to the heart of the wounds and where they came from. So, right? So, like, Where did this conditioning even come from? For me, I realized it was from some things my stepdad has said growing up about, just income. And again, our parents, including us too, because we're adults now and we doing it too. But we're making it up as we go over a lot of the times, right? We're learning as we're what is it, flying the plane while building it. Like that's adulthood, that's life, right? And they're doing the best that they can. So this is not a knock on them. But what I'll say is that uh you know, some of his conditioning around money, some of the stuff that he would tell me, and my own conditioning around money from growing up and, being poor growing up for a bit. Um, you know, they're telling you things because they care about you, right? And they want you to be better than them, and so they want you to choose certain paths, right? Um, wow, I'm having some other downloads too as it comes through. Wow. Huh. From a financial standpoint, where I'm at today, like following examples before me still has me in the same place as them. Isn't that funny how that works, right? I'm just having this whole moment over here. Okay. Um this is why it's important to follow your own path, right? And to get to the heart of the wounds, the narratives, because you know what'll happen is that you'll subconsciously live out the things that you've been shown. You'll subconsciously live out the things that you believe, even if consciously you don't believe them, right? Like, I can't fight with this. This can't fight with this because the emotions are powerful, right? So it's like, it's having the awareness of what's going on in here to help reprogram what's going on in here. And then they come together, right? So you can't think yourself out of it. You have to feel and believe yourself out of it, and then your mind will get on board, right? So, ooh, okay. Mm, hmm. So ask yourself, where does conditioning come from? And like I said, I realized I grew up in poverty. I grew up watching, adults abandon their dreams because survival was more important. I grew up with a stepfather who actually had a passion, but didn't get to fulfill it. And again, a lot of his advice was from that disappointment, you know? So we've learned the safe routes because of that. We've chosen the stable careers, right? We've followed the rules. And I'm rebuilding now just like everyone else, as I'm sure a lot of you are too, because I know, what's going on for a lot of folks. Um, so if the safe route didn't save me, right? Why not try the path that's actually ours, y'all? That's actually mine. That's actually yours? So, yeah, if we're going to be rebuilding, let's rebuild with our gifts in mind. Your creativity is not a liability, it's currency. Your intuition is currency. Your calling is currency, right? But we've been talked out of that to death. And it's time to talk ourselves back into it, feel ourselves back into it, believe ourselves back into it. Because that's the only way it's going to happen? And that's what's going to make us more grounded. Too, what I just noticed about these cards, wow. So, like, up front, we have two cards with the crown chakra on it. In the middle, we have two cards with the third eye on it. And at the end, we have two cards with the root chakra on it. I feel like that's going from being completely in your head to being in your emotions, your intuition, your discernment, to then, being grounded by that intuition and that discernment at the very end here. Okay. Well, that's what I have for y'all. Wow. That's so beautiful. I saw some things this time that I didn't see when I initially pulled these for myself. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, thank you, God, ancestors, angels, Orisha, spirit guides, Ashe, and Amen. Okay, that's it. See y'all next time.